There have been in addition to the teams, there have been groups that have gone of the team, of the makeup of the 4 investigative bodies, the federal government, the state agency, Massey, as well as our group, the independent group, have made walkthroughs of the mine to try and get a sense of it in an overall comprehensive nature, so that we're not stopping to look at the soot, we're not stopping to look at individual items, but we're trying to look at a larger picture. It is not like any other forensic investigation. The facts that you're involving in this case, though, however, are somewhat different and are somewhat more complicated. It is very dark. As you might guess, the explosion created a lot of soot, and there's no rock dust to knock down that darkness, so it is quite black, quite dark. It is debris strewn, and the first rule is if you're walking, you have to watch what you're doing. Don't look up and don't try to examine things until you get to a place and then walk past that. The debris is consistent in some areas and inconsistent in others. There are, as there are in all these kinds of investigations, contradictory pieces of evidence that will tend to cause you to scratch your head and wonder how that might happen. Also, the forces, because it is a contained system, will be coming back and forth. That is to suggest if the explosion goes from part A, is ignited in position A and runs its course out to the end of that mine section, it will then be forced back upon itself. And that forcing back upon itself will then cause another set of forces which will twist and turn the evidence that you have in place. The pie pans, which are pans that are beneath the roof bolts, are a good indicator of where the forces are coming from, and those can be bent in multiple ways. And that is, you have to look for the primary bend and you have to look for the secondary bend. So it is as much a science as well as an art to try to discover the source of the ignition, how it spread, and what was the fuel that was causing it. Currently, we have explored a number of sections of the mine. Yesterday, they went along the long wall. I'll go back here on the map and try to give you a little hint of that. So the mapping team went across the long wall yesterday and made the entire face of the long wall. The teams have been up to the 22 head gate, the 22 tailgate, the 21 tailgate. They have been over to the tailgate of the long wall. There are conditions that are occurring which are causing difficulty. Past the tailgate of the long wall, there are roof conditions that were found that necessary to be repaired before exploration went further. In addition, roof falls occurred further out toward the Banningtown fan, and water conditions were encountered such that the groups couldn't go through. Further, the 22 head gate, there is water in the face of that head gate. There is water in the face of the tailgate. There's been exploration out on the head gate of the long wall, and the head gate of the long wall has encountered water as well as some tubing conditions in both sides of that. The long wall itself, there's some shields that are pressured, under pressure, but it is intact. And there's forces in the crossover sections which connected to divisions of the mine, if you would. The forces are exploring, and we'll continue to map each of these sections as they map and collect evidence. Teams will go further, and we hope to explore that process. The question is, how long will this process take? It's slow. It's slow. It is slow for a couple of reasons. One is that mine teams have to move slow. As I said, it's difficult working conditions. They are working very hard, I can tell you that. I've been underground twice. It is a trial just to simply walk through the process. Not only in addition to the work they're having to do, and second, it is complicated by the fact that it is very dark. It is very difficult to see and very hard to put together an understanding and package of. I expect that the underground investigation is not terribly far along. I would expect that we will see a couple of months more in the underground at a minimum. With regard to the interviews on the surface, I would expect that that should take us, we have 100 more, roughly give or take. Some I would expect that would take, again, a couple of months. Our best estimate, our best guess is that we're looking at the end of the year for any kind of, hopefully any kind of report. That is not comforting to the families, and we know that. It's unfortunate. We only have one chance to do this, and we're trying to do it right, and we're trying to do it in a way that protects the people. We haven't had any injuries so far, and that's not because we've hurried, but because we've taken our time. It is a difficult case. It is a case that is large, complex, full of difficulties, and I think that everybody has shown good faith in trying to work toward the effort of trying to find the cause of this. I think that there have been some things that we are seeing that systemically need to be corrected, and that we're keen on seeing that we take a look at how do we address those kinds of things. That's the statement that I have. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions that you have. Yes, sir.
Gavin, do you think the chief can find the cause?
We certainly hope so. That is terribly important. We believe that the chances are pretty decent that we will, because you do have physical evidence that can teach you, but it's hard to decipher it and look through it and kind of. Yes, sir.
You mentioned at the end of your statement, you were seeing a number of things that were wrong, that need to be corrected. Could you spell out what those things are?
Well, I think that the UBB and as well in the industry, we see when the explosions occur that are of this nature, that we don't have a very good system of understanding what's going on underground. We don't have a very good system of collecting data up to the moment of the explosion. We are, for example, using pre-shift examination by mine officials are still in the pencil and paper stage. It doesn't help that that information is not located on the surface in some computerized area, some computerized system. We're still using systems of identification that are 150 to 200 years old, metal tags, etc. We haven't applied the lessons of technology to mines, and I think one of the things we need to be thinking is if we intend to mine in this country, we need to be looking at ways to understand the dangers before they cause catastrophic events underground. And we need to have that information be shared with not simply a foreman or a dispatcher at the mine, but shared with officials from the company as well as officials from the federal and state agencies in an instantaneous way to be able to try to intervene to prevent these. It's all well and good for us to conduct investigations, but the intervention needs to be done ahead of time. And I think this industry has to look very thoroughly and very systematically at how we gather information, how we share that information, and how we use that information to intervene. There are companies and the programs in this country as well as abroad that have the ability to pull computerized data up and to have that data be instantaneously available to third parties. And I think those are the models.